In our last video, we talked about how hard is the state of Georgia. Well, you guys have seen my North Carolina hike. You guys have seen the compilation video, and today we're going to move on from Georgia to North Carolina. We're going to talk about the state of North Carolina and how hard or not hard it is. Let's go ahead and talk about it.
This is Teardrop, and welcome to New to the Wild.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back now. Now, last video you saw my video on how hard is Georgia. Now we're going to talk about North Carolina. Now, in the beginning, let me give a preface to this. In the beginning, Bob Gavers on the top of Georgia says, he believes that North Carolina is much harder than Georgia, and I actually disagreed at first. However, my opinion has kind of changed in terms of when you look at the actual layout of North Carolina. It is harder. I believe Georgia's still harder individually because if you're not prepared for it, Georgia's a shock. But in terms of overall, North Carolina is more difficult, but it's a lot more beautiful as well. So let's just get right into it, no doubt about it. So you go into North Carolina, obviously a Bly Gap. Beautiful trees sitting there. I recommend all of you take a picture with that. And typically you go to Muskrat Creek. Now, immediately once you cross into North Carolina, you go up Courthouse Bald. I don't believe it's even called Courthouse Bald anymore. I don't know what the hell happened. But America, they change everything. So they changed that name as well. And then you make your way towards the 5,000-foot monster, Standing Indian Mountain. It's the easiest mountain you'll ever climb. It is definitely the easiest 5,000-footer you'll ever climb. And Standing Indian by far, it has beautiful views. You do get some views there, but to be perfectly honest, Standing Indian is over. The size of it makes you nervous because it is like stretched out over 5 miles, I think, from the beginning to the end. So, but I will tell you now, you will enjoy Standing Indian. And what I like about Standing Indian is it gives you a confidence booster because you're like, fuck, I just did a 5,000-foot mountain, but you won't really feel like it. Now, you typically will go from Muskrat Creek to Carter Gap Shelter. That's usually the mileage that you will put in for that day, and it's an easy day. If you by the star system, if you were to use the star system I gave you before, the rating system, I would have to say this day is probably a 2. Your first day in North Carolina, completely since you've already done Courthouse Bald, I have to say is a 2. I don't find it all that difficult at all. Now, when you leave Carter Gap, you'll have a little bit here because now you got Albert Mountain. Let's just say you're going Carter Gap to Long Branch Shelter. Let's just say Long Branch Shelter. You have Albert Mountain, which congratulations, you've hiked 100 miles now. Albert Mountain is a little bit difficult, but at the same time, it's not. Albert Mountain, one thing I'll tell you that you'll remember Albert Mountain for the rest of your life. Albert Mountain, there's this little portion as you're going up where it's a narrow path and you can see straight down right beside you. I don't understand why that's there, but if I was drunk, that could have been a problem. So you go up Albert Mountain, which is a primarily easy climb for the first 90% of Albert Mountain. It's not that difficult. But once you get for that last quarter of the mountain, last tenth of the something like last fifth of the mountain, what you're gonna do is gonna be your first rock scramble. This is fun. It is a fun scramble. You got views as you get up towards the top. Albert Mountain in itself is a fun climb, not a difficult climb. It could be difficult, but it's more fun than anything else. Now you get to the top. You see the beautiful views at the top of Albert Mountain. At this stage, at this point, it is your most beautiful views to date. Definitely go on up the tower. Now you won't be able to get into the top. That tower's been locked for the last few years actually. But get up there and enjoy it. Now the climb down Albert Mountain, I did it at night this last time, and for me it was a fucking blast. So on day 2 from Carter Gap to Long Branch Shelter, I have to give that maybe a 2, a 3, because Albert Mountain, yes, there's that one portion that's straight up, but it's not really a difficult climb. North Carolina to this point is not difficult. I think you'll be able to handle it predominantly pretty easily. Now, the next day is going to be a short day because you're going to go from Long Branch to Winding Stair, more than likely, to get into town. And once you get to the top of Rock Gap, right before Rock Gap, the mountain right there, you'll see you got a view off over into Franklin. It's an easy go. Now once you get to Winding Stair, the climb up from Rock Gap and then down into Winding Stairs a little strenuous, but not much. Now you get into Franklin and you get to enjoy yourself, rejuvenate yourself. I would always recommend. Okay, the Budget Inn in Franklin is better than the Budget Inn in Hiawassee, but I would recommend that you go to the Sapphire Inn. The Sapphire Inn in Franklin is the better of the two choices, better internet speeds, better cleanliness. It's just a better of the two. Plus, you got an outstanding Mexican restaurant right across the street. And as you're walking down there to it, you got McDonald's, you got the beer, you got your place to buy beer. It's an outstanding place. So now that you're rejuvenated from Franklin, now that day going into Franklin is a 1. It doesn't even count. Now you're getting to some serious shit though. Because once you leave Franklin, it is time for Siler Bald. Siler Bald is an outstanding, now it's the Balds. Now you're going to enjoy yourself so much. You're going to have so many beautiful views. Siler Bald's a good, nice climb up. No doubt about it. It's a tough one. And then you make your way to, I believe, Wyabald. Yeah, Wyabald. Wyabald, once again, tough little thing. Let's see. Stone Tower and paved footpath. That's right. The Stone Tower. Now, at Wyabald, if I remember right, the top got burned off by the fires. In this region is where I saw all the damaged trees from the fire. Wyabald, easy climb. Get to Wyabald Shelter. You're good to go. That day, I will say, is a 3 because you got Wyabald and you have the Siler Bald. So, in that day, I believe you're going to hike. Let's see here. If you include Winding Stair all the way to Waya, you're looking at probably 11 miles, and it's a tough 11 miles. So I'll give it a 3. All right, so then you go from Wyabald, and you're going to head towards Westerbald. I believe Waya to Wester is about 10.6. 10.6. Now, in this 10.6, you will go to Copper Ridge, I believe, Copper Ridge Bald. You will also then go up from Tellico Gap to Westerbald. Westerbald is an amazing. No, Westerbald is where that tower is. I apologize. I believe Westerbald is where that tower is. Wyabald is not. I may be getting it mixed up. But Westerbald, I think, is where that tower that's burnt up is. But Westerbald's a beautiful view. Make sure it's a good place to stop, eat lunch, no doubt about it. But in this case, we're going to stay at Westerbald. So you're going to stay at Westerbald. Overall, that day, it's not too big. You only typically have Westerbald that you're doing that day. So I would give that day a 2. It's so beautiful around this region. Then you come down into the jump off, and then you come all the way down past Rufus Morgan into the NOC. That climb down into the NOC is strenuous depending on the time of day that you do it. I did it in the middle of the night. And you don't want to do it in the middle of the night. Trust me, it's a very rocky. You're walking a ridge line. There's a lot of places you could fall. A lot of times you got to kind of climb down. It's almost a rock scramble. Do not do that at night. But you come into the NOC. So this portion from Franklin to the NOC is a beautiful portion, but it's not difficult. I'll give it a 2 in the terms of difficulty. The entire section from Franklin to the NOC. Now, the NOC is a beautiful place. You'll get in there. You'll really enjoy yourself. And now, coming out of the NOC, this is a very, very strenuous thing. And if you can make it to Sassafras Gap Shelter or even Brown Fork, that would be great. But to be perfectly honest, it's a tough 6 miles straight up at the NOC. The toughest climbing that you will have done in your entire first 137 miles. So be prepared. I ended up taking beer with me, so I was drinking on my way up it, and that's probably why I didn't make it all the way to the damn shelter. But it is what it is. This will be your hardest real climb, and it is difficult. It is tough. So I tell you now to be, it's definitely tough. You got the jump up coming right there, and then you'll make your way to Chioa Bald that next day. Simp Gap, one of my favorites. You guys know that. And then you'll go to Brown Fork Gap Shelter. Now the hike from Sassafras Gap Shelter to Brown Fork Gap Shelter, it's not a big day, so I don't know exactly what you're going to do, but because of that climb out the NOC, it makes it a little bit difficult. So now the next climb isn't tough at all, not even close to it. So now you're going to go from Brown Fork Shelter to Fontana Dam. Is that where we're going? Yep. Brown Fork to Fontana Dam. I believe that's about 12 miles, something like that. And this is a pretty easy, um, easy day. Now when you come up out of Cable Gap Shelter, there's a little bit of a climb, uh, but other than that, there's not too much. So then you get down into Fontana Dam. So the hike from the NOC to Fontana, other than that first 6 miles, isn't difficult. You'll enjoy it completely. Fontana Dam, take yourself some time, go to the lodge, enjoy some beer, get you some pussy if you can, continue your path. So continue moving on. We're at Fontana Dam, and you're about to go into the Smokies. Now, the Smokies is kind of North Carolina, but it's kind of not. The first portion is North Carolina, second portion is more Tennessee, but really what it is the entire Smokies on the AT is literally next to the border. So one moment you're in Tennessee, 1 minute you're in North Carolina. We'll go ahead and just look at the entire Smokies and consider it, I guess, North Carolina. Well, that's the way we'll do it. Now, the Smokies themselves is relatively easy. A lot of people talk about it. Now, what's not easy is that first day where you go up into the Smokies. The first day where you go up into the Smokies is much like going up from the NOC. When you're coming up from Fontana, it is a difficult thing. Now, what happens with the Smokies is the weather changes a lot. But this last time that I was there, I had rain, I had 8 inches of snow in a blizzard, and I also had extreme heat. So I had all three in the same damn 8-day period. So the trip from Fontana all the way to Davenport Gap is relatively easy. The second half of the Smokies, you're doing a lot of ridge walking. The first half, you're kind of getting up into the Smokies. But once you're up there, it's not hard at all. It's very beautiful when the trees start to change when you get to the Clingman Dome area. And then you come back down and trees go back to normal. The Smokies, I would say the Smokies in general, just judging the Smokies, I would only give the Smokies a 3 in terms of difficulty. There's a few areas, I believe Rocky Top is difficult, but it's so beautiful. Rocky Top and Thunderhead, but it's so beautiful you don't even notice it. So Rocky Top, I would say, is a good one. Thunderhead Mountain. Other than that, Clingman's Dome is also something you get excited about. It's so beautiful you don't even realize the difficulty in Clingman's Dome. And then, of course, later you got Mount Love, Mount Collins. When you come up out of Newfound Gap, here's another thing. I came up in a blizzard. It's a little, depends on whether you're going to stop at Ice Water Spring or not. So, there's a little bit there. Let's see what else we got here. Mount Kephart, nothing big there. Mount Sequoia, nothing major. There's just nothing major. And then the drop in the Mount Cameron area, that's a little strenuous, not much. Now the Davenport drop in out of the Smokies, fun shit, easy shit. I did it in the middle of the night. Now, once you get past the Smokies, you come you're going to Standing Bear. Now, I will tell you now, there's a portion, I don't remember if it was before Standing Bear or after Standing Bear, but I was fucking cussing, because it was a bitch. I believe it was coming out of Standing Bear. When you go up when you go up to Snowbird Mountain, I believe is what it's called. Oh my fucking God. For me, maybe it's because I drank so much at Standing Bear. That was harder than coming out the NOC. For me, that was harder than coming out into the Smokies. That was my hardest moment for me, most strenuous moment. Okay, so now we're past the Smokies. You're making your way to Max Patch, and this area is relatively easy once you get past Snowbird Mountain. Max Patch is so fucking beautiful. Now, I do like the Roan Highlands better, but Max Patch is where it's at. It's not a hard climb at all, but I would recommend to everyone, get up Max Patch, and if the weather permits it, sleep up there, man. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's not difficult at all. I would say the climb up Max Patch doesn't even compare to the climb up to Snowbird Mountain. So once you've done Snowbird Mountain, you won't even be bothered in the slightest to get up to Max Patch. It's just not really a big climb at all. So now we're past Max Patch. Well, I'll give that day well, no, because you probably stopped at Groundhog Creek Shelter after Snowbird Mountain. So that day, I'll give a 4. Now, the Max Patch day, I will not give a 4. That is at the very most, a 2. At the very most, a 2. So now, You're done with Max Patch. You're on your way, I believe, to Hot. Am I in the right? Let me make sure I got my shit right here. Yeah, you're on your way to Hot Springs, I believe. So you're coming down Max Patch. Now what you will come is to Walnut Mountain and Bluff Mountain. Let's say you stop either way. From Mooring Fork Shelter to we'll say Deer Park Mountain Shelter is like 14.8 miles. Now the big boy on this day is Bluff Mountain. Bluff Mountain is a motherfucker. It is an ongoing, it never ends. Now, once you get to the top, and what makes Bluff Mountain suck is there's no views at the top of Bluff Mountain, literally. But there is some beautiful rocks that's just sitting on top of Bluff Mountain. Me and KB sat there for a second. It was the end of the night, and we started to make our way down so we can get to Hot Springs. But it was an amazing. I like Bluff Mountain. It was strenuous. It was challenging, but at the same time, it is probably. I'll give Bluff Mountain because of Bluff Mountain. I will make that day. And if you hike the 14.8 to get to Deer Park Mountain, I will say that day's probably a good 4, maybe a 3.5, maybe 4 on the difficulty scale. So as you see, we're not having really difficult days in North Carolina. There's not a whole lot going on. Now, so from Bluff Mountain to from Deer Park Mountain to Hot Springs, you're literally just going down. Enjoy yourself in Hot Springs. Enjoy it. Now, Hot Springs, I'm going to tell you the truth. In terms of town, it's got some difficulty because if you go to Laughing Heart, you got to walk into Hot Springs, and Hot Springs may only be a little bit of a walk, like maybe probably a quarter of a mile or a half mile, but it's down the hill, and it's kind of a bitch to get to the town of Hot Springs from Laughing Heart, and it's a pain in the ass, especially if you go to the Hot Springs, you get drunk and you got to walk back up that motherfucker. Now, luckily for me, I got a cabin in Hot Springs, so I was good to go. Now, from Hot Springs, let's just say to, let's go with Little Laurel Shelter. You got some good shit here. You got a little bit of some climbs. Now, looking at it, Rich Mountain Lookout Tower, that's a good one to get to. But it's still nothing really. Spring Mountain, there's really nothing difficult during this little portion, this little section, the little Laurel Shelter. So coming out of Hot Springs, now because you're coming out of town, it has to at least get a 3 just because you got to hike. But all in all, it's not that rough. Now, this is a portion in which I want to give you the best advice, but for me, because I was just coming back to hike and I was unprepared, I struggled with this Hot Springs in North Carolina, to Irwin section. Truth of this is you won't get any views at all in this region. Hardly any at all. And I came back unprepared, and I struggled with this. So I'm not going to take my experience into consideration because I know you won't have the same experience. So I'm going to try to judge this based on some other things. All right, so we got the Camp Creek Bald Lookout Tower. It's a little bit of a climb. Let's see here. Once you get to Jerry Cabin, and that's the 300-mile mark, to be perfectly honest, that's not that difficult of a region. It's probably a 2, maybe even a 1. But be prepared, man, because there's not a whole lot between Hot Springs and Irwin for you to be able to resupply. And if you go in, it's hot. It was so fucking hot for me. But I would not advise, it's an easy section. It really is an easy section. All the way down from Jerry Cabin. Now, Big Butt is where I struggle. Now, Big Butt is, as you can see on the guide, it's not a fucking hard climb. It's not, and it wasn't. I was just exhausted. And undernourished, and it was horrible for me. Okay, so you go to Flint Mountain Shelter, and then you're going to go up to Lick Rock. Lick Rock is probably your biggest climb in the region, and Lick Rock is probably, like I said, the biggest climb in the region. Still nothing big. I got to give this maybe a 2. All of this whole portion. You get to Hogback Ridge Shelter. Now your goal is to maybe get to No Business Knob, maybe. Or possibly even Bald Mountain Shelter. So, let's just go to Bald Mountain Shelter. From Hogback Ridge to Bald Mountain Shelter is also not difficult. You got meadows, you got beautiful meadows, you got High Rock, which isn't difficult. But you got Big Bald. You got Big Bald, you'll see the survey marker, That's your hardest climb of this day. It's over 5,000 feet, but this entire region isn't difficult. I'm still only going to give this day, even with Big Bald and a couple others, a 3. Maybe not even a 3. So now you go from Big Bald down to No Business Knob. This is pretty easy. Let's see. In this region, there's really nothing. You got Devil's Creek Gap, which is where a lot of people hit that road. There's just nothing major about this area. I would give this portion a 2. And then from No Business Knob into Irwin, there's a climb, definitely, but you get them views of Irwin. It's not difficult at all. So now you're in Tennessee. Once you get to Irwin, bro, I don't know if I can say North Carolina's harder than Georgia. I'm still struggling with this because it seems to me that every section I was saying it was a 2 or a 3 at the most. At the most. The hardest thing in North Carolina was probably coming out of, I'll give North Carolina harder just because, the climb up the NOC, from the NOC, the climb up into the Smokies, and the climb up from Standing Bear. Those make it harder because there's nothing in Georgia that is even close to them climbs. So now once you leave Irwin, you're kind of in Tennessee, but you're kind of in North Carolina. So I'm not going to go over the rest of these places because there's really nothing there. It's all Tennessee shit. The rest of the stops are Tennessee. So my final statement is, how difficult is North Carolina? In my opinion, North Carolina is at the very most, a 3 out of 5. At the very most. For Georgia, if you take into consideration your conditioning, how ready you are, I got to say Georgia is a 3 or a 4. My final statement, Georgia's harder than North Carolina. I'm sorry, because you're not ready in Georgia. North Carolina, you have your hiking legs starting to come in, and yes, those climbs are harder, but fuck it. Georgia is tougher than North Carolina. My final statement. And it's not because of the landscape. The actual mountains are harder in North Carolina. But for you, they won't be, because you'll have your legs starting to kick in by then. Georgia is by far. Not by far. It's actually debatable. That's what we're doing right now. Anyway, so North Carolina's a bitch. But it's fun. The beauty of North Carolina makes those climbs so much easier. That's what makes it easier than Georgia. Georgia, you just feel like you're walking for no fucking reason. North Carolina, you see all these views. It's beautiful. I would recommend North Carolina to anyone. All right, guys, that's it. That's my speech. So Georgia, check. North Carolina, check. Tomorrow will be Tennessee. I'm out.
Bye, bitches.